One very powerful feature of the Premium Edition is the possibility to protect your data and your configuration with user authorizations. Enabling user authorizations basically means that you will need to provide a username and a password to enter Cardexchange, and then you will only see functionality you are authorized to use. Every single button in the menu ribbons can be hidden for a specific user or user group. This has a double benefit. On the one hand, the user cannot harm the system by using functionality he is not authorized for, and on the other hand, the user will experience the application as more user-friendly, because he will not be intimidated by all kinds of buttons he doesn't need anyway. User authorizations can easily be activated by clicking Enable Logins feature. Maybe even too easily, as users are sometimes unaware that they have enabled the Logins feature. When they restart Cardexchange, they are suddenly confronted with the login dialog and do not know what to do. Don't worry, they can log in with the default username administrator, whose password is also administrator, and then disable the feature in the configuration tab. Well, if you enable the user authorizations intentionally, it makes sense to change the default administrator password and configure specific users, user groups and their permissions. This can be done in the Account Definitions wizard. The Cardexchange user accounts follow the same scheme as for Windows user accounts, with users and user groups. The first wizard page allows you to define the user groups. By default, there is the admin group, which cannot be removed. There is also a default user group, and you can define as many additional groups as you want. Let's define a group for print operators and another one for photographers. The next wizard page allows us to define users and attribute them to one or more groups. I will create 3 users: a print operator, a photographer and a supervisor. I make the supervisor member of both the print operator and the photographer group. You can see that there are some options related to the password management. Users can be forced to change their password at the next login. Users can also be disabled temporarily with the corresponding checkbox. The next page allows us to set the authorizations for each user or user group. On the left hand side you see the groups and the users that are member of each group. We recommend defining your authorizations on a group level. You can set exceptions for specific group members, but if you do so, this user will not follow the group policy anymore for one or more permissions, which might get confusing in the future. On the right hand side you see that the permissions you can set are listed in an Outlook shortcut bar with a number of tabs. In the first tab you can specify whether users should have access to a specific card layout. Since the splash layout does not have a photo, I will hide the layout altogether for photographers group by clicking the traffic light. If you have defined any filters, you can also determine who is liable to use a specific filter. The other tabs list all ribbon buttons, and you can hide each one of them if a user is not allowed to use it. The photographer will not do any printing, so I hide the entire print menu. In the data menu, I hide the options related to manual entries and configuring filters. Next, I hide the signatures tab as we do not have a signature on the card, and the configuration tab as a photographer is not supposed to mess around with the configuration. For the Authorizations tab, we cannot tell whether we want to hide it or not. Editing the authorizations is an exclusive right for the admin group. To comply with Windows standards, we do not allow you to disable the Help menu either, but we can block access to the activation window. Let's now set the permissions for the print operator. I will hide some advanced settings. I will hide the entire Photos menu, the Signatures menu, and also the Configurations menu. And ready. What will Cardexchange look like when I log in as a photographer? As you see, some menus and many buttons are now being hidden. This user cannot print a card, but is allowed to take photos. Furthermore, he doesn't have access to the splash layout anymore. For the print operators, it looks like this. Now there is no photo menu. Note that the buttons on the right hand side follow the menu permissions. Now there are no photo and signature buttons for the print operator. The supervisor combines the authorizations of the photographer and the print operator. He has both the print and the photo menu. You might have noted that the login window shows a default user. This is actually the Windows username. It is good practice to have the Cardexchange usernames coincide with the Windows usernames. That avoids that the Cardexchange user needs to type their username all the time. Thank you for your attention.